The bottle of schnapps is a quarter empty. Viru Vage is written in white letters on a black background. The woman blowing the bugle under it raises the horn upwards towards the neck of the bottle. That is the sky. The liquor in the bottle is colorless, pure Estonian vodka. Cleansing, Leonides had said, if you take it like medicine. Now it is as dark as the kitchen, nearly black. She takes another gulp. It can do her no harm. Outside it is night, and Viru is untranslatable, a proper name of the same transparency as the liquid. And when she drinks this liquid and the vodka runs through her veins, she will become transparent too. She will become see-through. Being see-through is a form of being invisible. She drinks. That is the food. Rain drumming onto the flat rooftop across the way. Black, soundless rivulets flush light from the street lamps down the wallpaper. She can't remember when it started. Maybe it has been raining for a long time. It has been raining since she went to the door. The doorbell ringing must have drowned out the sound of the rain starting to fall. The man standing at the stairwell was a foreigner. He was a neighbor who guarded the entrance to the apartment house so that nobody would feel inconvenienced. No one disturbed in this prefab building that people return to after office hours. The voice on the stairs was a stranger's. It was not the voice of the man who had spoken to Leonides at the reception in the palace. It was not the person who had said to Leonides, "My friend, you've got all of Russia against you." The reception took place in a magnificent hall with chandeliers and oil paintings and long, sumptuously set tables. Early September, when bouquets of fresh flowers stood everywhere, on an evening barely a week ago. Not even a week since she had left Leonidas. "Don't say that, Sala. How can you say such a thing?" "Why don't you ask how I can do such a thing?" A black limousine had picked them up. It had stopped in front of the house, and a neighbor came running out onto the street, shaving cream still on his chin, to get a closer look at the ostentatious car. The chauffeur who had gotten out wore an elegant uniform. The sun shone on his black polished shoes. Had shone, past perfect. Perfect time. Perfect, but not flawless. Time has merely passed. It is done, gone forever. Yet it was not long ago, a few days. September was just beginning. It still had the full force of summer. The September of this year, not the last one. A beginning of September that has now turned into a desolate middle of the month, where it's just her and the spiders in the flower pots on the balcony. Leonidas would never have allowed that. He would not have permitted it. Were it up to him, she would still be there, in the apartment paid for by the university. She would sit by the fireplace or at the marble kitchen island, where she especially liked to sit in the morning, in the first light of day. But he has no say in the matter anymore. In the foyer of the palace, with high ceilings and wood-paneled walls, there were long tables with silver trays and bowls full of fruit and tiramisu. Her glass was being filled by one of the many waiters, and Leonidas murmured to her, "Excuse me a minute, will you? I have to say hello to somebody."
Entschuldige mich kurz, sagt sie in der Stille der Küche. Sie hebt die Schnapsflasche hoch zum Salut. Ich muss jemanden begrüßen. Sie reißt die Kühlschranktür auf. Aus der Kälte schlagen ihr grelles Licht und Zwiebelgeruch entgegen.
"Excuse me a minute," she says in the silence of the kitchen. She raises the bottle of vodka and a toast. "I have to say hello to somebody." She yanks open the refrigerator door. Glaring light and the stench of onions greet her from the cold. "Nice to see you," she says, as though somebody were walking towards her from the refrigerator, as though the man were approaching her from behind her to shake Leonidas' hand. "You found your way all right?" "Silman, old chap," the man shouts from behind her back. "I thought you'd grace us with a visit at the center in Berlin sometime." As you can see, I'm struggling with the hurdles of the Finnish language instead. Our memory doesn't kick in until we know how to pronounce the words. She puts the bottle back into the refrigerator. The cold blasts the back of her hand. strikes the pain in her joint, crashes over her. She knows she must stay still now, stand firm, that she must not turn around, not under any circumstances. Usually we remember what's useful for us, Leonides says. We avoid pain. Pain wallows in the darkness, turns into the dark spots of history. Or as Lennart Meri, our first president, so aptly put it after the Soviets withdrew, everybody talks about the death of communism, but nobody has seen its corpse. The man at her back clears his throat, and there it is. The sound of him clearing his throat makes her recognize him. She would always recognize that sound. The earth is on fire. She holds the refrigerator door tightly. She clutches the door, which is the edge of the table, which her hands use to propel her into the hall, where she staggers in the direction of voices getting quieter. A direction that was good, that she could head towards, that she had to continue on because it led away from this German. "Let's drop politics," she heard Leonidas say in the distance. "Come with me. I'd like you to meet somebody." She kept walking, staggering all the way, the beating in her throat closing her windpipe. She didn't stop walking. Her shoulders braced in the expectation that this man would step in front of her at any moment, politely feigning interest. But then recognition flashing across his face, a disparaging smile, an ironic glance at Leonidas, whose expression hadn't changed. His face had that glow that appeared when he felt good, when everything was going well, a glow that now had intensified because he had made a confession, had committed himself to her, confessed it to this German, of all people to him. Leonidas was far away, but then his hand was at her waist. He was standing behind her. She had reached one of the large windows as the guests were still arriving outside the portal below. They were crowding into the palace. She felt his hand, its faint pressure, and did not manage to lift her head. "Sala," Leonidas said quietly, "not now. He's an important multiplier." That is the last word she hears him say, multiplier.